What's up, everybody? It's Sunny. Oh God, I'm great at this. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sunny Side Up, my official second channel. I am Sunny, or as I assume most of you guys probably know me as, Train Boy. And on this channel, I plan to be a little bit more personal. It's not going to be about the trains and stuff. It'll be a little bit more about my life and the stories that I have to tell and stuff. So if you're from Train Boy and coming to see the content that I'll be posting over here, thank you for coming. And for those who voted for this video to be the first one on the channel, thank you guys so much. And without further ado, let's get into the story of how I broke my collarbone and currently why I only have this arm. This story is actually pretty recent. It couldn't have been more than 3 weeks ago now that this all actually happened. Typically once a week, normally on Saturdays, me and my friends meet up at another friend's house. And it was one of these occasions. I was outside waiting for some of my friends to show up, and one of them did on an electric scooter. Now this specific friend had a lot of stuff like this. He had a boosted board in high school and would let me ride that bitch all I wanted. So when I see him pull up on an electric scooter, I was like, yeah, let me in on that. And at first he was real hesitant. He was like, I don't know, man. He really wasn't sure about me getting on because it turned out that this electric scooter was more of a street scooter. He tells me it maxes out at like 40 miles an hour or something like that, and that if I did, I'd have to be super careful. And of course, me being me, I'm like, careful? I've got this. What are you talking about? And I watch him ride it around a couple more times, and he actually lets another friend on it, my friend's little brother. The little brother almost ran it into my car. And that should have been a warning sign enough, but I took it, and I took it around the block a couple times, and everything was actually fine. It was super fun. And I assumed after that first ride that every ride would just be like that, easy, you know? And, couple hours later, I asked if I can go on it again. We had all went back outside, and he was like, sure, go ahead. It had charged and stuff. So I take it on the road, and as I'm going down the road, I decide to take it a little bit further. Where his street normally ends, if you keep going, there's a roundabout, and I decided I was going to go to the roundabout. So I'm making my way down there on the electric scooter, and as I get to the roundabout, I remember that I had like maxed out the speed, but I wasn't slowing down. Because I just didn't think I had to. Everything was fine up until I got on the roundabout, because as I did and was coming around, a white like truck, I want to say maybe a Tundra or something, almost ran into me, like flew onto the turnabout way faster than they should have been going, and came a couple feet away from me in the scooter. And that was enough to freak the shit out of me, so I dipped off of the roundabout, but as I did, I guess the back tire hit like a pebble or the siding of the roundabout or something, because it starts bouncing really, really bad, and I tried to stop it, pressing the front brake instead of the back brake, and then when I realized that, pressing the back brake too, bringing it to a stop, but only the scooter. The scooter stopped, and I flipped over it, coming down on my collarbone or shoulder. At first I didn't realize that anything was broken. I got up, dusted myself off, and the scooter wouldn't start. I was more freaked out about that because I didn't want my friend to be mad at me and kill me because his scooter was broken, and that would have been my fault, or basically I was the one on it. It feels like it's my fault, even if the truck almost hit me. If I wouldn't have chose to go on it, it would have been fun. You know, there's just guilt in it, obviously. And I remember as I'm walking this back, I get a text from my girlfriend because she was on the way to be there with me too. And this happened right before she showed up. And I had texted my friends and stuff like right after it happened, like, hey, come get me, I'm hurt. And she pulled up right as they had gotten the text. So she pulls up, and apparently my friends say, yeah, Lance is dead. Jokingly. Turned out, I kind of was. So she gets in the car with them to come see me, and when they pull up, I'm like a wreck. Like my shirt's torn, my arm is like, I don't think I was bleeding a lot from my arm. My hand, as you can see here, it's pretty scratched up now, mostly healed up, but it was pretty scratched up, and that was bleeding probably the most. I could not move this arm. I was trying to lift the scooter up into my friend's car and realized that I just couldn't. I tried to move it behind like myself, and I just couldn't. It just hurt too bad. We eventually make it back to the friend's house, and my girlfriend takes me inside to check on me, and she wants to look at everything and make sure everything's all right. So I take my shirt off and stuff like that. She helps me with that, and she gets on her phone and she looks up what a dislocated shoulder looks like, and she tells me to stand, you know, kind of in front of her so she can see, and she's just looking at her phone, looking at my shoulder, all kinds of stuff, you know, just trying to be as calm as she can, not to freak me out. And she goes, okay, everything's all right. I'm gonna go get you some ice. Just 1 second. And she walks out of the bathroom. But she didn't close the door all the way, so it was still cracked and I could hear out there. She walks up to my friend and says, there's no way his shoulder is not dislocated. And I lost my shit. Because I've never dislocated something before, and I imagine it's gonna hurt getting it put back in. So I'm just level 10 anxiety, just maxed out, and just mania. So eventually we make it to the ER. My friend loads me up with my girlfriend, and we all go. And they do some x-rays and stuff on me. But what sucked was when I got to the hospital, they didn't actually end up doing anything to me for about 2 hours. I don't know about you guys, but my local hospital is fucking garbage. Like, they are just assholes. I hate having to go to it. That was another reason I was freaking out. I was like, I was realizing where I lived. So we go there, and once we get there, I get checked in and stuff like that. The receptionist was nice, but like, it took so long for them to actually see me. A woman comes in and she's asking me like, what happened? Like, explain to me everything that went down. And as I was, another woman walked in. Clearly, you know, she was kind of trying to be a little bit more secretive, but like, you're not slick, like I can see you clearly walk in. And she was doing something over on the side. And the other lady was talking to me, you know, trying to calm me down a little bit about the situation. And then the other lady just sticks me with a needle. Like, I just immediately get a shot. And she explained to, I think my mom was back there at the time. She explained to her that she had just given me a painkiller. Not me. So I was freaking out a little bit too. From that, I was like, what did you just inject me with? Like, excuse you? To be fair, it ended up, you know, all right. It did help a lot. And the freak out definitely came down. That being said, though, I did not appreciate that. You know, this freak out just kept coming back. Eventually, I think about 3.5 hours. I've been there for about 3.5 hours. Felt like an eternity. They came back after doing some x-rays. They were like, well, we have good news. Your shoulder is not dislocated. And I was like, okay, that's great. Then she said, but you do have a fractured collarbone, a severely fractured collarbone. And explained to me that when I came down on it, I think it's right here. I don't like feeling around too much on it. It's weird. I can almost feel it, and it just freaks me out. It's somewhere around here. I guess when I came down, my entire body, you know, came down on that one point. It really could have been worse. I don't know if this is worse or better than a dislocation. I mean, I'm in a sling, so I mean, I just like to cover it up with hoodies and look like I have one arm and freak people out in public because it's funny. But yeah, that was fun. The friend, actually, I was so freaked out at the hospital still because I thought that my friend was going to be mad at me. I mean, it was my fault that the scooter didn't work. It turned out that he was able not only to get it fixed and working again, but it turned out that he was the one who felt bad in the situation. And that made me feel a little bit better. Definitely not great because, you know, it's my fault this whole thing happened, but, you know, it made me feel good to know that he was more worried about me rather than the scooter. There was actually a whole other ordeal when it all happened. The keys to the scooter flew out. There were 2, and when the crash had happened, I guess I had picked one up and put it in my pocket and forgotten that I had done that, you know, as a result of the crash. It was just being stuck in shock. And my friends had to go back later that night and try to find it because that's the only way you can get the scooter to go. They eventually did find it and actually got the cops called on them for being in the street looking around for a key, which I think is kind of funny. But eventually I found out that I had that key, and it all ended up okay. Currently, right now, it still does hurt. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm good enough to, you know, like, make videos and do things and use this arm in very light ways, but if I try to like lift anything or put my arm behind myself, it's just not gonna work. It's just a no-go, at least for now. I am thinking, though, I am on the latter end of the healing process, though, so thankfully everything's been okay so far, and hopefully it continues to be that way. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the story of how I broke my collarbone. It's kind of embarrassing, but I figured it'd be good for the first video for this channel because it's something that happened very recently, and it's something that a lot of you guys know about. Yeah, don't just fuck electric scooters. If you guys did enjoy, be sure to subscribe. I'll be doing my best to upload as much content on here as I do on Trainboy. I'm not sure of a schedule 110% just yet, but I will be making more videos to join this one very soon. I'll likely also be doing polls to figure out what it is you guys want to see next specifically too. So if you guys are interested in that, be sure to keep your eye out on the Trainboy community page. And of course, as always, thank you guys again for watching. If you're gonna ride an electric scooter, at least be smart about it. Remember that you have a brake and what those brakes are. And if you're gonna break your collarbone, do it in style.